Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. I'm Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning and probate attorney, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. We're here to empower women who value their health, wealth, and the legacies they're creating. This podcast delves into a diverse range of subjects encompassing finance, law, mental and physical health, and beyond. Our commitment is to furnish you with invaluable insights, engaging expert interviews, and enlightening episodes that address your questions on wills, estate planning, and probate matters. Remember, this is your community, and we want to hear from you. Engage with us, ask questions, suggest topics. Let's build a dialogue. Reach out to us on social media or leave us a comment. Your input fuels the conversations we have. You can find all of our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our upcoming content. We appreciate your support. And if you enjoy the podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Your review helps amplify our reach and brings our content to more listeners. Now on with the podcast. Today's topic is estate planning for busy professionals, overcoming time constraints and common barriers. Many busy professionals often complain of not being able to find time to create their estate plan. Some of their reasons involve hectic schedules and feeling overwhelmed by the task's complexity. In this episode, I will do a deep dive into 3 common barriers professionals have shared with me. In the latter half of this podcast, I'll share 8 tips on overcoming those barriers. Let's get started. The first barrier is lack of time. One of the most significant challenges busy professionals face when it comes to estate planning is the sheer lack of time. This issue arises from their demanding careers, personal responsibilities, and the pervasive view that estate planning is a non-urgent task. Let's delve deeper into this point to understand the specific reasons behind the time constraints and how they impact estate planning efforts. First, let's look at demanding careers. Busy professionals, especially those in high responsibility roles, such as executives, lawyers, doctors, and entrepreneurs, often work long hours filled with meetings, deadlines, and high-stakes decisions. The intense focus on career success and professional growth leaves little room for additional tasks, particularly those perceived as non-urgent. Here's an example. A corporate executive might spend over 60 to 80 hours a week managing business operations, traveling for work, and meeting with clients. The demanding nature of their job means that by the time they finish their workday, they have little energy or motivation left for estate planning. Now let's look at family obligations. In addition to their professional responsibilities, busy professionals often have significant personal commitments. These include raising children, maintaining a household, and caring for elderly parents, just to name a few. The time spent on these activities can be substantial, further squeezing the hours available for estate planning. Here's an example. A physician with young children might find that after a long day at the hospital, their evenings are consumed with school activities, bedtime routines, and household chores, leaving little time for planning their estate. Now let's look at the perceived non-urgency point I mentioned earlier. Estate planning is often seen as something that can be postponed. Many professionals view it as a task to be tackled later in life, particularly because it deals with distant or unlikely events. This perception contributes to its low priority on their to-do list. Here's an example. An attorney in their 30s might believe that they have decades ahead before estate planning becomes critical. This perceived lack of urgency means it is often deferred in favor of more immediate tasks, such as client meetings or court appearances. Let's look at the last point of mental fatigue and burnout. The cognitive load of managing both a demanding career and personal life can lead to mental fatigue and burnout. When professionals are exhausted, they are less likely to engage in tasks that require additional mental energy and focus, such as estate planning. Here's an example. A tech entrepreneur working to launch a startup may experience significant stress and mental fatigue. In their limited downtime, they are likely to prioritize relaxation and recovery over detailed planning tasks like estate planning. We've discussed the first common barrier busy professionals face. Now let's look at the second, procrastination. Procrastination is a common hurdle that many busy professionals face when it comes to estate planning. Despite acknowledging its importance, they often delay taking action, rationalizing that they will address it someday. This tendency to put off estate planning is driven by several factors, including misconceptions about time, prioritization of more immediate tasks, and discomfort associated with confronting mortality. Let's explore these reasons under the subheading of procrastination in detail. The first, misconception of ample time. A prevalent reason for procrastination is the belief that there's plenty of time to deal with estate planning later in life. Many professionals assume that estate planning is something to be addressed closer to retirement or in old age. This misconception is fueled by the idea that they are currently healthy and have many years ahead to sort out their affairs. Here's an example. A 40-year-old business owner might think, "I'm still young and in good health. I'll worry about estate planning when I'm in my 60s." This mindset overlooks the unpredictability of life and the importance of being prepared for unforeseen circumstances. Now let's look at immediate priorities. Professionals often have a long list of immediate tasks and responsibilities that take precedence over long-term planning activities like estate planning. The urgent demands of their careers, coupled with personal and family commitments, leave little room for tasks that do not have immediate deadlines. Here's an example. A project manager may prioritize upcoming project deadlines, team meetings, and client deliverables over estate planning. The absence of a pressing deadline for estate planning makes it easy to defer in favor of more immediate concerns. Now let's deal with the issue of discomfort with mortality. Estate planning requires individuals to confront their mortality and consider scenarios such as death and incapacitation. This can be uncomfortable and emotionally taxing, leading to avoidance and procrastination. Here's an example. A lawyer might find it emotionally challenging to think about and plan for their own death or incapacitation, leading to a tendency to avoid the topic altogether. Are you in Maryland or DC embarking on your estate planning journey? Let us guide you through the process. Join us for a complimentary 15-minute call with a member of our team. There's no obligation. Check out the show notes for the scheduling link. Your first step towards securing your family's future starts here. So far, we've looked at two of the three common barriers busy professionals face: lack of time and procrastination. Now let's look at the third: changing circumstances. Busy professionals frequently encounter significant life changes, such as getting married, having children, moving, or changing jobs. These transitions can make their personal and financial situations seem too fluid for comprehensive estate planning. The perceived need to wait until life stabilizes can lead to indefinite postponement of estate planning. However, it's important to understand that estate planning is a dynamic process that should adapt to life changes rather than be delayed by them. Here's a detailed exploration of this topic. The first: marriage or divorce. When professionals get married, their financial and legal responsibilities often change. They may need to integrate their spouse into their estate plan, including updating beneficiary designations, revising wills, and considering joint ownership of assets. Here's an example. A newly married business executive might need to update their life insurance policy to name their spouse as the primary beneficiary, revise their will to include their spouse, and consider setting up a joint bank account. Conversely, a divorce necessitates a comprehensive review and adjustment of estate plans to remove the ex-spouse as a beneficiary, adjust power of attorney designations, and divide shared assets. Here's an example. A recently divorced doctor might need to revise their will to exclude their ex-spouse, update their advanced healthcare directive, and reassign guardianship of their children if previously designated to the ex-spouse. And to that point, let's look at having children. The arrival of children brings a host of new considerations for estate planning. Parents must address guardianship, provide for their children's financial future, and ensure that their estate plan includes provisions for their children's care and inheritance. Here's an example. A software engineer with a newborn might need to name a guardian for their child in their will, set up a trust to manage their child's inheritance, and update their life insurance to ensure sufficient coverage for the child's future needs. Now let's look at career changes and relocations. Changing jobs or relocating can significantly impact an individual's financial situation and legal responsibilities. New jobs might come with different benefits, stock options, or retirement plans that need to be incorporated into the estate plan. Moving to a different state or country may involve understanding and complying with different estate planning laws. Here's an example. A marketing manager who relocates from California to New York might need to update their estate plan to reflect New York's state laws, transfer property titles, and possibly revise their healthcare directive and power of attorney to comply with local regulations. Now let's look at significant financial changes that can occur. Receiving a large inheritance, selling a business, or experiencing a substantial increase in income are all significant financial changes that require a review and adjustment of estate plans. These events can alter the value and composition of one's estate, necessitating adjustments to tax planning strategies and asset distribution plans. Here's an example. An entrepreneur who sells their startup for a significant profit will need to reassess their estate plan to manage the new wealth, potentially setting up a family trust, updating tax strategies, and ensuring adequate provisions for heirs. So how do you navigate time constraints, procrastination, and changing life circumstances? As I mentioned at the start of this episode, Here are 8 tips to help busy professionals overcome these barriers. Let's get started. Number 1, break down the process into manageable steps. Microtasks. Break down the estate planning process into bite-sized tasks that can easily be tackled in small chunks of time. Prioritize essentials. Start off by concentrating on the must-have documents like a will and power of attorney, and then work towards completing the full plan. Set milestones. Create attainable goals for each stage of estate planning. Don't forget to celebrate the little wins to keep your motivation going. Here's a second tip. Schedule dedicated time blocks. How about time blocking for your estate planning activities? Just allocate specific times in your calendar for these tasks, treating them with the same importance as your business meetings. Remember, making consistent progress is key. Even if it's just a small amount each week, commit to it. Setting up regular time slots can help prevent the task from slipping through the cracks. Why not set aside some weekend mornings or a few evenings to work on estate planning? This way, you can ensure consistent progress without disrupting your weekday schedule too much. Tip number 3, utilize professional assistance. Connect with the experts. Consider reaching out to an estate planning attorney or financial advisor to tap into their expertise and make the process easier. These professionals can offer valuable guidance, address any questions you may have, and take on the more intricate parts of your estate plan. Share the tasks. Why don't you share the load by entrusting professionals or assistants with tasks that may be time-consuming, such as gathering financial documents and completing paperwork? Tip number 4, and you all will appreciate this, leverage technology. Virtual meetings. Schedule virtual consultations with estate planners and advisors to reduce the time spent on travel and in-person meetings. Tip number 5, address emotional barriers. Take some time to reflect on your values and the legacy you hope to leave behind. Consider how a well thought out estate plan can positively impact your loved ones. This reflection can help you overcome any emotional obstacles you may be facing. If thinking about mortality is tough for you, it may be helpful to seek support from a therapist or counselor. They can assist you in addressing any fears that may be holding you back and make the estate planning process feel easier to manage. Tip number 6, treat estate planning as an ongoing process. Stay on top of your estate planning by keeping up with regular reviews. Remember, it's not a one-time task, but a continuous process that should adapt with your life changes. Make it a habit to schedule yearly or biannual reviews of your estate plan. And don't forget to revisit the plan after any big life events, like getting married, having a baby, or changing jobs, for example. Tip number 7, use flexible estate planning tools. Consider using a revocable trust, for example, as a flexible estate planning option that can easily adapt to changes in circumstances. These trusts can be modified or dissolved as needed. Don't forget to have durable powers of attorney in place to ensure that someone can make decisions for you if you become incapacitated. These powers remain in effect even in difficult situations. And here's the 8th tip. Prioritize key documents. It's important to have your foundational estate planning documents in order and keep them current. These include wills, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives. Having these key documents in place ensures that your basic wishes will be respected, especially if other parts of your plan may be changing. To review, we looked at 3 common barriers busy professionals face when considering estate planning: lack of time, procrastination, and changing circumstances. We then shifted to solutions, and I offered 8 tips on how to overcome these barriers. By integrating these strategies, busy professionals can effectively address the challenges posed by time constraints, procrastination, and changing circumstances, ensuring their estate planning is both comprehensive and adaptable. We empower busy professionals in Maryland and the District of Columbia by designing an estate plan that is unique to their situation and protects what they hold dear. We can do the same for you. I invite you to schedule a complimentary 15-minute call with a member of our team. The link will be in the show notes. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Wills, Women, and Wealth podcast. I'm Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland estate planning attorney. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and take control of your legacy.